Hey folks, Adam Brian Dada here with the Lower Reward video series. Today's conversation is about an issue that I kind of hint at all the time, but in this case, I want to get more active about what I'm talking about. And that one is anxiety as a tool to control and manipulate the audience. Now, this is pretty close to a devil side video as an angel side video goes, but I do want the general audience who are still consumer minded to understand why certain media vehicles are used so regularly in order to grab the consumer's attention, and why a consumer is so easily duped into consuming that. And it's not just headlines. YouTube influencers are the worst. The most common anxiety-inducing media action is clickbait. And you see it in headlines, you see it on YouTube videos. I see it a lot in some sailing videos that I like watching once in a while, where they're like, oh my goodness, our ship broke, or whoa, pirates have attacked us in the middle of the night. But you see it in political headlines. You'll even see it in sports and even like music headlines about the band or the rapper that you like. And they'll go and they'll say, oh goodness, is this person not going to make it? Or, is their concert canceled? Or whatever the case may be. If you followed my cookbook posts on Facebook or Reddit from back in the past, this will be something that you will remember I've covered before. And that is that anxiety induced by nature is an anesthetic. So the people who are the most anxious don't realize that they are anesthetized to feeling. And they think anxiety is an emotion, and it's not. Even in nature, if you cut a finger off, the body's response is anxiety. That is what the response is initially. Oh my goodness, my finger is cut off, I need to survive. And the way the body starts the survival process is through anesthetic, releasing hormones into the blood or releasing agents that block neurotransmitters that create the fight or flight response, or actually that engage the fight or flight response. When you've got clickbait headlines that try and scare you or worry you, one of the things that they know they do, one of the things that the neuroengineers have adopted in creating clickbait, and whatever the case may be, there is this knowledge that when the brain is anesthetized against, say, pain, and put in this anxiety mode, typically the person being anesthetized will visit that fight or flight response. But with clickbait, more often than not, the draw is bring them in and then distract them away from the topic at hand. And with media, with newspaper media, you'll be drawn in by the clickbait. You're like, oh goodness, is this famous actor going to live or die? Blah, 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 blah. The politics of the world, global warming, certain people matter and other people don't. And whatever it is, they'll draw you in. And then the article will be so badly written or so long or use such an ugly font that they'll get to the point where the audience doesn't want to actually engage that topic. So what the audience person does is he'll look for something else on the page to click. And this is made much more convenient on a mobile device, where we don't have a keyboard to easily escape out of, or have a mouse that's easy to click back to a different tab. So we want to click something. And that's why there's more clickbait advertisements that you see somewhere in the body of the news article that you were reading. So here we are, we're talking about some terrible thing that's happening in the world today, and the audience has this anxiety reaction. to want to click it? Why do people watch car accidents and rubberneck? We have this anxiety reaction to want to visit it and see it's not us, my life's not bad, but I want to see how bad it is for others. It's a normal human reaction. And when you visit it, all of a sudden there's 20 other clickbait headlines that are way less concerning. So they get you in with the most anxiety pushing headline, anesthetize you so that you don't actually feel anything, and then they dupe you into falling in the rabbit hole of whatever nonsense media they want you to follow. For anyone who's been addicted to benzodiazepam or any kind of muscle relaxant or painkiller, OxyContin and all that stuff, you know that once you become anesthetized and don't feel, the body actually likes that mode of operation. We become addicted to not feeling because feeling is extremely painful or extremely polarizing, and it's not what we want to feel, so we want to go back to that not feeling mode. And by doing it in the media, whether it's a YouTube show or whether it's a newspaper article or even if it's education, the topic of a book you might want to read. You go to college to become smart, become anesthetized through anxiety, and next thing you know, it's all about bars and drugs and hooking up. Whatever the case may be, as we repeat ourselves into this bored to anxiety-ridden to anesthetized to rabbit-holing all the possible clickbaits, we become accustomed to it. The consumer becomes hungry for it. And one of the things that we most want is we don't want to feel bad. We don't want to feel alone. And we want to constantly force dopamine into our brains, which makes us addicts over the media. When I've developed some of my anti-anxiety programs that have worked and have not worked both, but as I've worked on them over the last decade, I've realized that it's not just anxiety over clickbait that you can read or see pictures of. But there's a lot of clickbait out there. For example, your favorite TV show. And I couldn't name one right now that does it, but I'm sure they all do. Uses cliffhangers at the end of an episode to create that anxiety in your brain. Oh my goodness, what's going to happen to my favorite character that I have actually created an oxytocin bond with, stronger than with my lover or my spouse or my children? What is going to happen to them? I'm going to have to wait and view more. And when I was a kid, cliffhangers meant you had to wait a week, and sometimes you had to wait for the next season. Could be months. Today, you can just binge right through it, get the next one right away. And as we click to find out if our favorite character lives or dies, we become more anesthetized to feeling in real life. So here we are, moving through the consumer models, the neuroengineered models of clickbait, anxiety, and aesthetic. And in almost every case that I've studied, and I would love to hear more in the comments below, if you can think of places where I'm wrong or maybe haven't thought about. But in all the consumer models of behavior, it seems like we have that anesthetic model everywhere. The other day I was talking to someone about music and how you get that, what is it called, an earbud in your head when you can't get a song out of your head? And how often that is just another anesthetic. You've got the rhythm, you've got the beat, you've got the melody, you've got the 3 or 4 chords that create the backbone of the song. It's going beautifully, it feels great, and boom, song's over. Does it get out of your head? Heck no. I know in some forms of music, especially dance music, they will raise the pitch, the music louder as it builds up and builds up and builds up, and then they will cut it off on cue, and a few beats later, pick it back up again. Again, people think it's fun and entertaining to dance to it, to get really active to it. In reality, they're creating this anxiety. They're creating this anxiety in the consumer to hunger for a little bit more. And it's amazing to me that in every consumer activity that I've found to research, they do it over and over and over again. Look at what happens after a big down or out or whatever in professional sports. They cut to commercial. They cut to commercial and they keep you cliffhanger. You're on, pins and needles, gripping with your fingertips. And you got to know what's going to happen next. And it only really happens when something big happens or time is called. In either case, what do? They move you into consumer marketing and advertising. Or maybe it's halftime or whatever, quarter, and they have a break with a bunch of very attractive ex-athletes who will now tell you about anxiety headlines in other games going on right now. Let's cut to the announcers of other sports or other teams playing, and let's tell you about the anxiety issues then and there. When you eat a meal, you build up course by course. When one course is over, you're not quite there. You still can have a little bit more. The soup, the salad, the entree. There's a little cliffhanger. What's coming next? I can't wait to see how pretty it is. I know I'm a little hungry. I got a little anxiety for eating more. I gotta eat more. And what do we finish the meal on? Do we finish the meal on something bland that's satiating? Or do we finish the meal with a type of food course that makes you want more and more and more? And of course, that's dessert. And I think that's true in every culture because remember, consumer culture, all culture is consumer, including food culture, including the food that your grandma used to make. It's all based on consumerism. It's based on you wanting more, and you finish with dessert, which of course, as everybody knows, if you're a foodie, meaning a food addict, how can you say no to more dessert? It's the ultimate cliffhanger. It's almost as if we eat the first couple of courses just because we know we're going to get to dessert. And how many times have you gone out and stuffed yourself silly in the main course, and then the apple pie comes out, and then the chocolate bonbons come out, and then the deep fried ice cream comes out? So how often have you been part of that movement from disinterest to surprise to interest to anxiety to anesthetic, and then all of a sudden the cliffhanger? I want more. And I've been working through the research for many years, and I found tons of amazing stuff on the NIH that discusses the anesthetic steps of consumer behavior and why we get so caught up in it, why it becomes so addictive, why we've always, for all of human existence, been this way. And of course it makes sense. When we lived in a time of scarcity, and we don't, there's no more scarcity in the world anywhere. Even the hungry poor don't have scarcity, they want scarcity. In reality, all scarcity is gone. We have massive abundance. Everything you need for survival is available. Whether or not you have money or live in a country that has everything, you definitely have access to it. So what happens now is we don't have scarcity. We have abundance. And we go and need, paleologically, we need to feel scarcity and anxiety because it's a human part of nature. We are designed to compete and survive, and for hundreds of thousands of years, we didn't. For hundreds of thousands of years, members of our tribe died probably every day. And who knows from what? From disease, from weather, from childbirth, from child rearing, from their siblings killing each other over the family goat, from disease, whatever. And we don't have it anymore. We have nothing to be full of anxiety about anymore. Unless you believe in psychotherapy, which I don't. So what we've done is the media has replaced real anxiety-causing events with artificial ones in the form of clickbait, in the form of cliffhanger, in the form of rabbit holing into less sad or less real negative news. And we find ourselves in this caught trap, this net, where we are so afraid of global warming and we fall into this cliffhanger, clickbait, anxiety-producing news trap where we go from worried about global warming to not reading the whole article to, oh my gosh, is Brad Pitt going to get back together with Angelina Jolie? What an idiot. Well, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for it, and as humans, we have become pawns to giving up our entire lives because a couple of smart people discovered the trick, and they will never talk about it. When I do film production, I tell actors every day, you are not doing this for the art, you are doing this because slow-minded audiences need to daydream that they are the character that you want. They don't care about the actor, they care about the feeling that the character brings them. And often, in almost all forms of movies, we're there for the anxiety, and then the anesthetic, and then the anxiety, and then the anesthetic. And then the end comes and everything gets resolved and the anesthetic is still making us feel good for a little bit more. And then we gotta go home. And back to reality. The same with watching TV, the same with watching sports, the same with watching the news, the same with watching a how-to video where the guy at the end accomplishes something and we get the anesthetic. And this is where we are as humans. This is where we are as consumers. We're in this mindset, this mode of operation where we can't break free of it because we've already become numb to existence. We've become numb and we so very much fear feeling real. The producer side, which will be a double side of this video, the producer side talks about how to embrace pain. Not cutting off your finger pain or falling into a pit of lion's pain or, having your wife divorce you pain. But real, acute, temporary pain, which comes from failure. And failure comes from trying. And trying comes from motivation, determination, and embracing boredom, as we've talked about in the intro. So as long as we're still in the consumer mind, as long as we're in that mindset, we're not going to be able to feel real pain. We're only going to share artificial pain that's broadcast through the media and the stories that we so love. But we're always going to be seeking that anesthetic. And there's no easy way to stop that. But there is a way for you to start watching every day and seeing when do you feel that anesthetic, after what. And that's your homework for today. To start this conversation going, think about it today. Think about it tomorrow. Think about it this week or this weekend. And get back to me in the comments here on YouTube. And let me know what you think is your anesthetic and what your anxiety was and what clickbait or cliffhanger got you to that anxiety. And at what point in time you made the realization, wow, Adam Brian Dada nailed it. You don't have to find solutions. That's not why we're here today. We're here today to start this introduction to consumer anxiety and anesthetic. And if you want to hear more, start your comments below and I can start moving toward a 2-week self-study about it. My name is Adam Brian Dada, and this is the Lower Reward video series.